Michael Chertoff, former Secretary of Homeland Security in the Bush administration, will be in India shortly to speak about global challenges to security. And he is here with us in Washington, D.C. to talk about challenges facing America and India in the field of security. Secretary Chertoff, thank you so much for speaking to the Voice of America.
Happy to do it.
It's been 8 years since the attacks of 9/11. Do you think America is safer today?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt America is safer, but of course America is not completely safe, and much of what affects America's safety is what goes on in other parts of the world, including in South Asia.
President Obama just announced that he is going to send 30,000 additional troops to Afghanistan. Do you think that move will make America safer than it is today?
Well, I think there are a couple of important things that emerged from the decision that was announced in the last couple of days. One is, of course, a reaffirmation of the fact that it is in America's vital interest to make sure that there is a safe and stable environment in South Asia. That if we were to have a re-Talibanization of Afghanistan, that would have catastrophic effects on American security as well as security in India and in the rest of the world. So I think that was very important. I think giving General McChrystal the troops, or almost all the troops he's requested, is important as well. The important thing which I think we still have to keep our eye on is making sure we get the job done. I know there's a lot of discussion about whether there's a deadline for withdrawal. I take the testimony yesterday to indicate that while there may be a pause to look at where we are, there's a commitment to getting the job done, and I think that's going to be very important.
The focus for President Obama right now is clearly Afghanistan and Pakistan, and to rein in, dismantle al-Qaeda and the Taliban. What do you think this new revised approach would mean for a country like India, which is in the region and which is affected by terrorism?
India's fate, and India's in a dangerous neighborhood, is very much bound up with the fate of the whole world in terms of fighting back against this kind of extremism.
What would you say? Would you say India benefits, but what about the extremist groups like the Lashkar that target India? Would there be action on them as well, or is the focus now clearly on al-Qaeda and Taliban first?
Well, you know, we have taken action, for example, in the United States against people who trained for Lashkar-e-Toiba or finance Lashkar-e-Toiba. So we do regard them as a hostile extremist group. Now, to the extent that they're not on the ground in Afghanistan, they won't be directly affected by operations there. But I look at the whole region almost as if Pakistan and Afghanistan are bookends. And in the middle, in the frontier area, is where a lot of the hotbed of extremist activity is fermenting. And the more pressure we can put on that frontier area from both sides, the better off we will all be, because it's going to make it harder for these extremist groups to operate.
India just observed the first anniversary of the Mumbai attacks. You were Homeland Security Secretary at that time when these attacks happened here in the Bush administration. What would you say India has learned in this 1 year? How has it succeeded in bolstering its security and its response system?
Well, I know that from a visit I paid a couple of weeks ago that there has been an increase in the training and equipment for the police. I think there's some important lessons, though, that we need to make sure get fully adopted. One is there has to be a plan in place for dealing with these kinds of events. Every major city has to have a plan, and then it has to build capabilities to execute that plan. There has to be command and control system. You need to be able to identify where the problem is, have communications that work effectively and efficiently, and then you have to be able to execute the plan based on that situational awareness. And I think one of the tragedies of Mumbai was the sense that the police were helpless because they didn't have those tools and those plans. And to the extent that that has been remedied, that's an important step forward.
To keep a country of more than 1 billion people safe is a tough job. What are the lessons America learned after 9/11 which could be replicated in India to keep the country safe?
I think the first lesson is you've got to operate your security in a networked fashion, meaning you've got to enlist not just the federal government, but state, local government, and the private sector. It can't only be a top-down process. It has to be a shared process. I think the second lesson is you've got to adapt your defenses, because once one defense succeeds, the enemy continues to modify and come up with new ways to attack. We saw that, for example, with Mumbai, which was a different tactic than we'd seen previously, for example, in London or in New York or in Madrid. So it's that adaptability, it's the planning, it is the networking among the various levels of government and the sectors of the economy that are the key to having a large country properly defend itself.
Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure.